All right, guys, just finished my morning workout and cardio. And now I got something special for you guys. I don't have a script for it. I don't have slides for it because I know this shit like the back of my hand. Morning routine masterclass. About to drive to the usual recording spot, and I'm going to go in depth on exactly how you can start and just understand exactly how your morning routine functions. Because most people don't even really know what the point of it is. And they sort of make fun of the 4 a.m. guys, but hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have enough information, knowledge, and motivation. Not only an information transfer, but I strive to give you guys an energy transfer by the end of this video that you can go and attack your morning tomorrow. All right, guys, let's get it. All right, guys, we're at the spot. I got the clip-on mic for this video. And how I want to start it is first by laying some groundwork. Self-improvement and really working on anything is like moving a boulder, where it has inertia. It takes a ton of energy to get that initial shift. But once you have it, once you have that movement, so long as you show up every single day and constantly apply force to it, it'll get faster and faster and faster, and you'll get exponential results. But if you stop pushing for even a day, you lose that momentum. So we want to be as consistent as possible and not do what most people do, which is they have these huge work sprints and they crash right back to being lazy. And their whole life is pretty much just, oh, they're lazy and then they get pressured. So they have a work sprint and then they crash and then they get pressured and it repeats. And it's like their body checking the boulder, where it may shift a little bit, but you're not going to build anything meaningful that way. You're not going to build the physique if you're inconsistent with tracking your macros. You're not going to build a business if you're inconsistent with working on it. So we want to be as consistent as possible. And your morning routine is the engine. It is the heart of being consistent. Your morning routine should function like a machine that takes you as input, no matter how you're feeling, and outputs you elevated, ready to apply that force and attack your day. So the foundational things you should do in your morning is wake up early. This will give you a larger block of time to work with to elevate your mindset and take advantage of those most focused hours of your day. So you wake up early, you put your phone on the other side of your room or your alarm. So it compels action in your morning and you form the habit of shooting out of bed every single time that you wake up. You make your bed, go to the washroom and track your weight. And, tracking your weight's foundational. If you want to maintain your weight, if you're bulking or cutting, these are all things you just have to do. And they are foundational for having an elite morning routine. And then afterwards, your morning routine should consist of things that fall into two categories. Either A, things that are biologically advantageous to do, like light therapy, that'll anchor the spike in cortisol that wakes you up in the morning. Taking supplements like vitamin D. And B, things that elevate your mindset, like journaling, like reading, like taking a cold shower. And I think the best way to fully go over everything you could do is by talking about the morning routine that I had, which is wake up at 4:25, phone on the other side of the room, compel action, shoot out of bed, make my bed, go to the washroom, track my weight. Then after that, I take my supplements, I take electrolytes, and then while drinking 32 ounces of water and doing light therapy, I would read a chapter of the book I was reading. I would journal. I would fill a page in my journal, and then I would take a cold shower. That was my morning routine. It may sound like a lot, but if we really break down everything I do there, the supplements, the light therapy, the hydration, the electrolytes, these are all things that just make you feel great. And they anchor, not all of them, but they either make you feel great or they anchor your circadian rhythm, where every morning you're just waking up with crazy energy, no matter how much sleep you got. And then stuff like journaling, reading, in a cold shower are things that elevate your mindset and focus your sights on the things you have to do. And then after my morning routine, I would start executing on the goals that I set the night before. If you are starting, that is a lot. For me, how it started was a 4:25 a.m. wake up and a cold shower. You set a foundation of discipline and understanding that you start to build on top of. So for you, what your morning routine actually should look like, if you're watching this video, you want something actionable, 4:25 a.m. wake up. If you have to work late, if you work late shifts, then wake up a bit later, like 5 a.m. Something that is early and uncomfortable and pushing yourself. Wake up early. As I said, phone on the other side of the room, go to the washroom, track your weight, make your bed. And then after that, what you should do your hygiene stuff and take a cold shower. and then get to work. And then you can start adding things like reading and journaling and light therapy. But you need this foundation of imperfect action, this foundation of discipline. This is what most guys won't tell you. They'll just sit here and talk to you about all the things you could do and sort of let you get off to the thought of taking action. But I want to change lives. This is how you start, with that foundation. And then you can start building from it. And during your morning routine and immediately following it, you are just maintaining this tension where you aren't scrolling on reels, where you aren't eating sugary foods. And let me break this down specifically. When you scroll on reels, or whenever you engage in some sort of instant gratification, not only are you just scattering your brain and filling your mind with negative thoughts and just random bullshit that doesn't matter, but you are also spiking your dopamine. And in doing so, your dopamine crashes below baseline. And it's here where you can't really work because it's not stimulating enough. And it takes time to return back to baseline. But during that time, you're craving the high. And this is why it sets a domino effect where you start playing video games and then you start, and it crashes. And then you eat junk food and it crashes. And then you jerk off and it crashes. And it's just this vicious cycle. So we want to maintain this tension and go straight from our morning routine where you're not, scrolling on reels, you're not doing anything like that. And you immediately jump into work. And that's why, things like instant gratification are bad. But things like sugary foods, if you wake up and you eat cereal, this spikes your blood sugar. And then it crashes and not only does it shift you into that rest and digest parasympathetic state, where you have brain fog and you get really tired, but it also spikes your blood sugar, and this leads to crazy brain fog. This is why if you wake up and you eat, a ton of sugary foods or a ton of carbs, that's why you have brain fog after, and you feel super tired. So I recommend intermittent fasting. It's an elite habit to form. It'll allow you to be super, hyper, mega productive in your mornings. But if you do need breakfast to up your meal frequency, like you are really into bodybuilding, and you need to up your meal frequency, I recommend having something with very low carb, preferably none. Something like eggs in your morning. Eggs and even protein can lead to that rest and digest shift. So I recommend a very small breakfast, maybe something like 2 or 3 eggs. That's what I would do, 2 to 3 eggs. And then when you successfully maintain this tension throughout your day, at the end of your day, because you didn't fry your brain by overstimulating it with a ton of dopamine, things that aren't very stimulating, like watching a documentary, will feel way better. And that's all you'll really need. You won't have this crazy crash. People think their problem is, why do I always jerk off at the end of my day? Why can't I stop it? Well, it's because you were scrolling on reels all day. It's because you're playing video games all day. And because you didn't conquer anything else in your day, it didn't actually put in any work, and you just spike, crash, you jerk off, or you play video games, or you doom scroll. It really all stems from your morning and it's setting the tone for your day. And right now, I started this about a week ago. I get up at 4 a.m. I do what I showed you, and then I get to the gym. And it's because for my specific case here, where I'm making content, I'm inspiring people, and I'm trying to really push myself. As a coach, I couldn't imagine being a coach and sleeping in. You know what I mean? So as a coach, I just push myself as much as possible. And it works great for my specific situation because I record in the gym and I upload that as content. Right after, with my elevated mindset coming out of the gym, I record content like this and I record the reels. So for my specific case, this works phenomenally. But if you're someone in school, waking up early, doing what I told you to do and using that foundation and then instantly getting into work, that is so potent. I was getting more done in my mornings than I previously was getting done in my entire days when I made this shift in university. And really my story was when I was at the lowest point, really in my life, I was waking up between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., nearly failed all of my exams coming out of university. I was back at home and I knew I had to do something. So I set the 4:25 a.m. wake up in a cold shower as a non-negotiable. And I was shocked at how quickly I started adding. Within the first week, I was already doing light therapy and journaling. But it all started with that imperfect action, taking that leap. And I could talk about adenosine in your brain, and if you drink coffee too early before it clears out, you can get a crash. We can sit here and talk a lot about being hyper-optimal, but if you're watching this video, you are almost certainly at the position where you haven't really even implemented when to start. And it all starts with that imperfect action. And you can take that foundation I gave you and also add reading a chapter of a book, or also add journaling in the morning. And I've talked about in other videos how to journal effectively. And you can start with that, with a little extra on it. Or even for me, I was reading a chapter of my Bible. There's so many directions you can go. But I promise you, if you're looking for the perfect morning routine and you don't even have one, you don't even have a strong one anchored, you're never going to find it. It takes that imperfect action, that foundation of discipline and understanding that you can actually start building off of. And a final thing I'll leave you guys with is you have to set it as a non-negotiable. I was getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep when I was starting. I was hallucinating spiders because I was so tired. I was falling asleep at my keyboard. It may not be that crazy for you guys, because for me, it was a crazy shift because I was taking melatonin. It was a brutal, crazy 180 shift in my life. And you may say, oh, but getting that much sleep isn't optimal. But it was just a season of growth, of forming the habit, of paying down the debt, of forming the habit. And it was very quick for me to start reaping fruit from it and to start getting the adequate sleep. And now I wake up, no matter what, wake up at the same time every day, 7 days a week, execute on your morning routine, set it as a non-negotiable, start with this imperfect action, and then start building and start chasing perfection. And it's through that you achieve excellence. All right, that's it for this video. Instagram's in the description. You can see me hitting my morning routine and executing on it every single day, and even go back to the last 100 days and see that I'm like that, okay? That's it for this video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. And go apply it. More than anything, go apply it.